Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Man, did I ever have a busy morning today. I think I've got 6 short videos to show you today. And I also have a public service announcement. And we're going to actually start off with the public service announcement. Somewhere in your life, you're going to have a clogged drain. And, you can buy all these over-the-counter drain cleaners and things, and, yeah, they sort of kind of almost work sometimes. I got one here that works. It just flat works. Now, I'll give you a little caution about it after I show it to you. This here, Santeen drain opener. It's 32 ounces, I think it is, and it's heavy-duty stuff. This is sulfuric acid is really what it amounts to. And we had a clogged drain in the kitchen there, and it would drain, but it's just real slow, and it would fill up pretty quick. In fact, you just start running the water, and within just 30 seconds or so, it'll start backing up the water up into the sink. So I took all the pipes under the sink loose and cleaned all those out, and they were needing it. They were pretty nasty, so I cleaned all those out and put it back together, thinking that might have been the problem. Well, it wasn't. So Sue put several different kinds of drain cleaners in there. Didn't do anything, like Drano and those different things you buy at the hardware store. So I went online, and basically I went on Google and just asked, what's the best drain cleaner out there, Well, it came back with this kind of thing here, the Santeen stuff, this sulfuric acid. So I went ahead and ordered it. I ordered 6 bottles of this in a carton. Cost like $60, so about $10 a bottle, which, really ain't that bad considering how much everything else costs these days. So, it sure beats having a plumber come out, So, the caution about this is, first, there's 2 or 3 cautions. First of all, this stuff will eat you alive. So, be careful of just about getting it around yourself. When you pour it in a drain, you don't put your head over the drain and look down. You get back like this, and you reach out and you pour it like that, because this stuff puts off some nasty gases. It really does. When it starts down the drain, you instantly hear it going to work. It's not like pouring water down the drain. You hear this thing just start almost like a volcano. I mean, it's considerably different than your average drain cleaner. So there's 3 cautions. The first one is your personal safety. Be very careful. The second one is don't pour it down your drain just normal. Get a funnel. Make sure you got a funnel. Put the funnel down in there. Pour it down in the funnel so that it stays in the drain. You don't want to get this on your sink or your countertop or anywhere else. I mean, it's going to eat it up. It'll tarnish it. So, pour it straight down the drain, make sure, with a funnel. And then the third caution is, if you've got real old pipes that are right on the edge of being, leaking, then you probably don't want to use this, because it's going to make them leak. I mean, it'll eat through the old pipes. Now, if you got plastic pipes, I don't think you have to worry about it too much. But, if you've got some kind of a old galvanized metal pipe or something, and it's on its last leg, well, this will probably push it past its last leg. This stuff is the real deal, I'm telling you. And so you pour this in there, and like I said, you can instantly hear the volcano going off. And as a matter of fact, it's almost startling how you can hear it. And then you only wait like 15 minutes, and then you rinse it with cold water. Do not rinse it with hot water, because it'll off-gas even worse with hot water and cause some kind of a chemical reaction possibly too. So use cold water when you rinse it. I'm not kidding you. Our drain was really clogged. I even had my doubts that this would work. It cleaned that sucker right out. I mean, it just opened it right up. It's not clogged at all now. You can just run the water wide open and it just goes straight down. So there you go. I probably should put this on the products I use page because it's a product I'll be using in the future. Okay, well, I mentioned to you yesterday that Sue has a thing about the stabilizer bar on the tractor. So here's a real short clip about that. Well, I straightened out the stabilizer bar and I put it back in there, and this is the normal kind of pin that we've been using, and this is what's been coming out up there, even though I put them in from that way, so that if anything going as she's driving that way, it would be pulling down on this, not pushing up on it, and it shouldn't come loose, but it does. So she bought these kind of pins. I don't think that's going to help anything. I really don't. But, well, just give it a try, I guess. Because I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. I can't explain it. It makes no sense to me at all. I can't even fathom how that happens. Especially just out in the middle of a field cutting weeds. It just doesn't make sense. Well, anyway, so we're going to give it another shot there with a different kind of a pin. And I don't know. It might work. You never know. It's not that big a deal, but it definitely bends that bar into a horseshoe so I have to straighten it out, which it takes the torch to heat it up hot enough to straighten it back out. So it's a pain in the neck to straighten. But anyway, I got it real straight there, as you could see. Here is a comparison of trailer tires to show you that this is not something that I was just imagining. Here's the difference. Let me show you as a comparison. Friends, I hate to beat this tire subject to death, but here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. These tires came off of an old mobile home. They're really old tires. They're probably 25 to 30 years old, maybe 50 years old. I don't know how old they are. They're old. So let's look here. We've got a load range of G, which is exactly what I just put on that trailer out there. Guess what? This is 115 PSI. So it's actually 5 pounds more than those out there. But look at the difference in the plies. Tread, 8 plies on the tread, 8 plies. Look at the sidewall, 6 plies. Can you see that? 6 plies on the sidewall. Those brand new tires out there, 14 ply rating, load range G, the exact same as that. That has 4 on the tread and 1 on the sidewall. Isn't that wonderful? Haven't things improved? And there you go. And those people that were taking the tire manufacturer's side saying, well, no, you can't plug a sidewall. Well, guess why? Because they've cheaped out on it and it's crap now. It's absolutely crap. Those tires, that's the way I remember buying tires. I haven't bought tires in a long time, to be truthful. But all of a sudden, everything around here needs tires. And that's why I've raising such a ruckus, because it has changed so much that it's just pathetic. So there you go. And just when you thought it was safe, here's another tire video. Friends, I hate to beat this tire. Well, one more thing I did this morning was take off the tires off of this thing. I had painted the wheels previously, and I think I had shown that in a video. And anyway, I was, in the mindset that I thought I could repair these, but after I repaired them, they kind of held air, but they would seep air through the sidewalls. They're just so dry rotted. I don't know if you can actually see how dry rotted they are, but they're pretty bad. And the air would just seep through them very slowly, so there was no fixing that. So we're going to have to get new tires for this and then hopefully get this thing sold. Well, as you could tell, I clicked on the wrong video there. I clicked on the same one again, but then I clicked it over to the horse trailer tires. So, yeah, I was of the mindset that should have been able to fix those tires. Well, no, not so much. Those tires are really, really dry rotted. And like if you spray them with soapy water, like the whole sidewall, you can see little tiny air bubbles where the it's just that dry rotted. It's bad. So that's why we're going to take those now and just get all new tires and put them on that trailer, and then hopefully sell the trailer. Let's see. Here's another thing I did this morning.
Well, Sue told me yesterday that most of the trails are blocked with trees, which just floors me because I don't think we've had any bad weather. But I'm sure she's not lying, so I'm going to get stuff gathered up here, and I'm going to be putting it in the Ranger. I'll show you what all I'm taking with me. Well, here's what I'm taking with me. I wish that I got out earlier. I meant to, but I ended up oversleeping because I didn't sleep at all last night. Well, I mean, I did after way early morning. I slept from about 6 till 7:30, which is not good. But anyway, I'm taking my personal protection equipment here, the helmet and my chaps. I've got oil. I've got my main chainsaw that I'm probably going to use because I like to use the lightweight one when I can. But I've got my big heavy one if I need it. I've got a couple of splitting wedges here, or actually those are tree falling wedges. And then I've just got this as a hammer to drive them in with. I've got gas in the top and tools in the bottom. This is all sharpened chains. I have them wrapped in like a paper towel, each chain. And then I've got this rope and this block and tackle thing in case there's something, that I need to drag out of the way or pull out of the way. And maybe, maybe it gets hung in a tree or something, and it would just be easier to pull it out of the tree versus cutting it out. So anyway, I brought that just in case. I doubt I'll use that, but you never know what you're going to be up against. We're going to be going way back through here someplace. I think pretty far back that way and then that way. So here we go.
And we are going there just in a second. I just thought I'd let you know that I did go through all the trails, and well, not all of them because there's like 20 miles of trails. I just went through the ones that I remember her talking about, and this is what happened in that.
Well, I think I found the first culprit here. The tree here fell off. Looks like an old red oak. It's been down a while, that's for sure. This is the trail we don't go down very much. This is a very steep trail going downhill. It doesn't look like it on this camera right now, but in just a little ways it drops pretty straight off. But you can see there, this will make some good firewood for this winter. But right now, I don't know if I'm going to try to cut it into firewood. I think I'm just going to get it off the trail, mainly, so the trails can be brush hogged. Here's a little piece laying here too. See if I can, I don't even know if I can move that. Even that little thing is a lot heavier than it looks. At least get it off the side of the trail, like that. And I'll cut this up. Show you what, some people would say you should use this for lumber, but it's just riddled with holes and ants. Can you see the ants? They're just all through there. It's a mess. And those wing dants, you know, yeah, this is kind of messed up their whole day, I can tell you that. But got to do what I got to do. Yeah, that stuff is heavy. You would not believe how heavy this tree is. It's crazy heavy. I mostly just want to get it off the road. I guess I'll go ahead and saw that one in half again, because that one's a lot bigger. Oh, that makes me sweat, man. I'm telling you, that's hard work. Harder than it looks like. And this is even harder. This stuff's heavy. Mostly just want it off the trail. Right now, that's about all I care about. Well, there's the first one. I don't know how many more we're going to run into. Well, this stuff's not actually blocking the trail, but it won't be long, so might as well cut it while I'm here. This is a really big tree here. I don't plan to cut the whole thing up, but get it off the trail best I can. It's a lot bigger than it probably looks on camera. About a 14-inch tree, maybe bigger. Well, there's going to be a lot of good firewood out of that one too. Unfortunately, that was a walnut. There's really no good walnut log. Maybe down at this end, maybe a little bit, maybe an 8-foot log. Might saw it up, but I doubt it. This is kind of an optional one. The trail actually goes around us here, but that's only because this tree's been in the way, and so the trail's just drifted over there. but this is more of a straight through place, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this thing up too. Well, that takes care of that.
Wasn't nothing to it. You just got to go do it. That's all. It was hot out there, man. I was wanting to get out there really early. I was wanting to get out there about 6, but as I said, I didn't get much sleep last night. So I got out there late, unfortunately, but I got her done anyway. And then while I was out there, I stopped by this.
Well, it's been several months since I've been out here at this newer cave that at least I believe it's a cave. And I thought I'd see if there's anything washed out. I don't know. Kind of doubt it. Haven't had any huge rains that have just been flooding anything. But you can see there's still water coming out, and that's a good sign. So, did it open up in there anywhere? I don't see any openings. Well, maybe there. Yeah, I think that's an opening. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it goes back in there. Problem is, this old guy's too old to deal with it. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an opening. Probably need to bring a big light back here and see if we can poke something back in there and see anywhere. See if it opens up at all. If it did open up, I guarantee I'll get that little bit dug out. But I doubt it opens up much anyway, you know. The old creek, it always runs. As far as I know, this creek has never gone completely dry. It'll get pretty spotty, but the springs that we have on the farm keep it flowing most of the year. I mean, it'll get down to where it's just a trickle sometimes. It'll get down where it's a little more than this. This is what I call a trickle. It'll get down a little bit, you know, where there's a little more water than that, going down the main valley. But at least there's water. So, yeah, I wish that would blow out of there and open up so I could see back in there a little bit. But maybe I'll try to bring back one of those cameras or something that I can poke back in there with a light or something. We'll see. Look right here. I guess that's a deer track or maybe a hog track, I guess. What's weird is seems like the toes are cut off. Like this would be the heel and it should go to a point, but it doesn't. So there's kind of a point right there. I don't know. I see some minnows in the creek. That's always a good sign. Whenever you see minnows in a creek, you can deduce one thing from that. If you don't know what that is, that means that the creek doesn't go dry. If you see no minnows at all, well then generally that creek goes dry. But if there are minnows in the creek, for the most part, you can bet it doesn't go dry. So, well, it's nice to see it again. I haven't seen it in a while. That's a pretty big opening if it actually opens up. And I can't tell for sure.
Yeah, I might go back there this afternoon with a camera and a flashlight to see if there's anything beyond that hole. See, like on the LiDAR map that indicates. Well, first, let me back up the truck. I suspected there was a cave there, period, because whenever it would rain hard, there's a huge amount of water that comes out of there. So just the fact of that, it more or less indicates that there's a good chance there's a cave in there. Well, so, and the fact that we've got 2 other caves along that hill that we know are caves, you know. So I just thought, well, there's a good chance there's another cave right there. Well, then I saw the LiDAR data, and it shows a big old hole right there. and which is what I think might be right behind that mud. That opening that we can see there now, there could be a great big room there. I mean, based on the LiDAR data, I almost expect that. But, it's kind of wishful thinking too. You just never know. But it'd be cool if that was a big old cave that went way back in there somewhere. I'll start cave tours, man. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much everything I had to cover this morning. And Sue went out this morning and she's went somewhere and bought cabinets for the utility room that we're going to deck out with some different cabinets and things. And I think she's already bought some kind of a curtain type deal to hang in front of the furnace. At least I think she has. I still have to put one more coat of drywall mud on that stuff. And honestly, you could probably make a case that you need 2 or 3 more coats on it because it's pretty rough. But on the other hand, I've got it feathered out reasonably well. I mean, even if you painted it right now, it'd sure look a whole lot better than it's looked for the last 25 years. But I'm going to put one more coat of mud on there, I think, and then we'll paint it. All right, let's go to the comments. Eddie Turner was the number 1 guy in there this morning, or today, or this afternoon, or sometime or another. Sometime today, Eddie was the first one in there. Then Rod Wintler and Joe Nigan, and then David Tharp has his question marks, and he says, running into stationary objects can be painful, according to a recent poll. A recent poll that you ran into, I guess, huh? Let's see. David Tharp says, Jerry, don't forget, hover twice and click once with the mouse instead of a tape measure. Yeah, hover twice, click once. Yeah, I just clicked once yesterday and clicked on the wrong thing. Ronald Todd, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks of New Jersey. And Dottie's praying for everybody. Thank you, Dottie. And then moving on down, she says, exercise your fingers and hit the like button. It costs nothing and it helps the channel. So thank you. If you would do that, I appreciate it very much. Bill Webb says, good afternoon. Rod Wintler says, Jerry, you need to have the R&R of a bit of metal detecting. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been working on that finish more. Well, I ordered the seals. Well, just my luck. Those seals must be on the slow boat from China because they haven't had any shipping progress since Monday. They both say they're shipped, but there's been no updates on them since Monday. It's like, are you kidding me? Those are the things I'm waiting on. I want to get that finish more fixed because I want to go back there and mow some places where I can do some metal detecting. I mean, I could do it where she's brush hogged, but honestly, that brush hog leaves the stuff like this tall, and it's thick, and if you really want to do a good job with the metal detector, you need to get it down to just about like a lawn. If you get it like a lawn, you can do a good job of detecting. So, just my typical luck. The one critical part I need to put that finish more back together seems to be on the slow boat from China. I don't know. Both of them, one of them says it was shipped via SF. SF, I looked that up because I'd never heard of it. It's apparently some shipping company out of China, and it's becoming an international shipping thing, kind of like UPS. It's what it sounded like. So that one I do think is possibly coming from China. I don't really know. The other one says it's been shipped with USPS. So I ordered 2 different ones, kind of for this reason, hoping that one of them would get here, But also, in case one of them didn't fit, maybe I'd have another alternative, Well, anyway, it is what it is, like typical. Let's see. Moving on down. Gino Hitch. Hi, Jerry and friends. Hope everything's good on the Rosa farm. Well, it's, for the most part, it's good. David Tharp. Of all the utensils invented to eat rice, please explain to me how two sticks win. You do have a really good point on that one. That one there, I've always thought the same thing. I really have. It's like, of all the things you could think to eat rice with, you picked a couple of chopsticks. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but there you go. I guess that's why those people are so skinny. They don't get a lot of rice at a time, do they? I don't know if you noticed my comment in my when I was cutting those trees, but at the beginning there I said, well, the other good news, the first good news was that I didn't see any snakes, and the second good news was that I had to shrink the waistline on those chaps by over 2 inches, because I have definitely lost some weight. I mean, I put them on, and I thought, these things are falling off of me. So let's see. After we went live, David Tharp says, the nerve of that doctor. He thinks I'm so old he wants to send me to an archaeologist. Then he laughed and said, no, an audiologist. You're hard of hearing. Yeah. Let's see. Dottie says, on the drain cleaner, do you use rubber gloves? Should use a respirator. Yeah, well, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right on that. I already knew what to expect. I've been around sulfuric acid a number of different times in my life, so I was already prepared. And, I just used a good plastic funnel, and I just reached way out like that and just poured it. I wasn't anywhere near the fumes, I didn't even smell it, but I sure did hear it. So yeah, you do want to be really careful. If you get this stuff here, you do want to be really careful. I don't know what percentage. I looked on the bottle. I thought it would say what the percentage of sulfuric acid is. It's a heavy bottle, man. It's like they got lead in it or something. I mean, it feels heavier than it looks for the size that it is. It honestly does feel extra heavy. But anyway, I think it's 32 ounces, and like I said, I bought the case of 6 because it was $60. That seemed to be the most economical way for me to buy it. Plus, I figured it won't hurt to have another 5 bottles of this laying around here on this farm with 11 bathrooms, So anyway, that's what I did. But you're 100% right there, Dottie. You want to be really, really careful if you get that stuff. You definitely don't want it on you. You don't want it in your eyes, and you definitely don't want to breathe it. And then, like I said, you want to use a funnel to pour it, make sure it stays down in the drain. Don't let it get on top of your sink or anything like that, because you're not going to like me if you do that. It's not going to be a pretty picture. Sidecar Bob, surprise, I expected to be out most of the day because the mold guys sprayed, but they sprayed early and the smell has gone away, so we're back inside. I still won't be here tomorrow. Okay. Well, we'll have to give you a hall pass, I guess. Bill Rhodes says, Jerry, could you put tubes in those tires? Yeah, on the horse trailer. Well, I'll be honest, that didn't really occur to me, but I saw your comment while the videos were playing, and I thought, well, it's not a bad idea. But on the other hand, and then I saw Dottie made the same comment, and then I think Sidecar Bob kind of went where I was going there, and that is that, yeah, I could do that, but I think my conscience would bother me a little bit because those tires are not good, and I'm afraid that they could still blow out on the sides. I mean, like the air pressure, just like I was pointing out yesterday, if you know anything about air pressure, it pushes 100% in all directions all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's in a tube or if it's just a tubeless tire or however you do it, air pressure is air pressure, and it pushes in all directions equal amount. And while the tube would make it hold air, for sure, it would definitely do that. It wouldn't keep it from busting out on the sidewalls. And I could just see somebody going down the highway 70 miles an hour and have a blowout, possibly two blowouts on the same side. Wouldn't surprise me, because if one blows, the second one could blow because of the extra pressure on it. And being hauling two horses down the highway 70 miles an hour, it could get ugly. So that's probably, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was going to use it for myself, it wouldn't bother me so much to put the tubes in there. But since I'm going to sell it to somebody, I don't think I want to do that, because I just don't want to take that risk and, have somebody get hurt or their horses get hurt or whatever. But it's not a bad idea. It's definitely something I hadn't considered it. It's something I hadn't thought about. Let's see, moving on down. Yeah, Jeff Pierce made a comment there. I read that one too during the video was playing. It says, I bought some cheap Ching Ching tires for a car trailer. They exploded just sitting in the yard after a few months. And boy, it's the truth. And again, I hate to just beat it to death, because I know I am doing that. I get it. But doggone it, I just wanted to prove to you that it wasn't just my imagination. I know this has changed. It's changed. Those old tires, they have the exact same load rating, the exact same G load rating. And they are, much heavier ply tires, much heavier than the brand new stuff you're buying now, and paying way more for it. I'll bet you those tires, when they were bought new, well, of course, I know everything goes up, but I bet they didn't cost $100 brand new back when those were new tires. Well, now they're $340 or $50 a tire, and and they're way cheaper material. That's what's bugging the tire out of me. Plus the fact that one ply is not safe, in my opinion, but that's what I have to put on there because that's all I can get. It sucks. It sucks canal water big time. I don't think it's safe. I really don't. And I think you should be aware of that when you're pulling along the highway 70 miles an hour and you see a bulldozer on that trailer, Now, I would think on those super heavy trailers, they probably do have better tires. But on your typical, weekend warrior trailer, even though they're like that one I've got, it's a 26-foot trailer. It's a big flat bed. It's a 12,000-pound trailer. It's not a 24,000-pound trailer. It's a 12,000-pound. But on that size, where you could be hauling a nice, 10,000-pound Bobcat, you should be aware that you're driving next to a single ply tire. It scares the heck out of me. Let's see. I kind of lost my place here because it's moving on me. All right. Okay. Yes. All right. Moving on down, I see where I'm at now. Richard Herbranson says, hi, Jerry. Is a fret rocker a good tool for checking for high frets on a good straight edge? All you need. A good straight edge is all you need, honestly. You don't really need a quote-unquote fret rocker. It's just a marketing gimmick to sell those things. Anything that's really reasonably straight, like a steel ruler, will be just fine, because a steel ruler, while it may not be perfectly straight, in 12 inches, it's probably not out more than 1,000th or two. You know what I mean? It's going to be pretty close. So it's plenty good. Let's see. Sidecar Bob, those tracks are from Bigfoot or Tiptoes. Yeah, on his tiptoes. Yeah. Well, that crossed my mind, actually. Especially right there by the cave. He might be living in there. You never know. Maybe he's the one keeps that mud pushed up there where you can't go get in there. David Tharp, as a kid, I was disappointed with the Wizard of Oz. That song said somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, way up high, way up high. So where's the pie? Oh, David, where do you come up with this stuff? It's funny, though. Brad Tomatic, SF equals slow freight. I think you are 100% right on that one. Yeah, when I saw that, I ordered them through Amazon, and the one says shipped via SF, and I thought, SF, what's that? I was seriously trying to think of what it could be, and so I Googled it, and it said it's a new company, shipping company out of China, and they're taking it globally, and it's becoming international, similar to like UPS. But wouldn't you know, be my luck, that's probably coming directly from China, and it's going to take forever to get here. Where the other one, at least it says it was shipped via USPS, but it hasn't had any updates since Monday at all. The other one at least has had a couple of updates, but it doesn't look like it's here in the U.S. yet to me, at least based on what I'm seeing. David Thorpe, watching you cut the logs is almost like eating peanuts. Once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. Yeah, it's there's plenty to cut here, that's for sure. We got it's 280 acre farm, and I don't think there's 60 acres of actual open fields out through here. I mean, there probably is about that many, about 60. So there's at least 200 acres of forest, And like I said, we had it logged in 2019, I think, 2018, 2019. And you can't tell it. You can't tell it's been logged, really, when you go out there and look around. Now, I mean, the trees aren't huge anymore. The biggest trees are gone, but it's so thick. And that's the other thing that people that are unaware, that like city, and I'm not picking on city people. I'm just saying they're not used to this. They don't understand this lifestyle. But city people will say, you need to be planting trees. You're cutting all these trees down. You're not planting anything. Well, I guarantee you cut down one tree, and it's not an exaggeration to say 25 trees will grow up in that one same spot all by itself. You don't have to plant nothing. There'll be 25, if not 100 trees grow up in that same spot. Just the moment you take it down, they start growing. So you don't need to plant anything, at least not in this area. Now, that might not be true out in the mountains, and it wouldn't be true possibly if you clear cut, although even clear cut here I think would grow right back. I don't think it'd take very long at all. But anyway, just so you know. Let's see. Sidecar Bob, the other Bob, might put tubes in them. Yeah, he probably would. Well, let me rephrase that. For sure, he would do that. And then he would tell you those are brand new tires because he painted the wheels, and it makes it look real good. He'd say, you got some brand new tires there, buddy. You need to pay, extra for this. And when he probably would have bought the cheapest tubes he could have bought too. Like, could you make them a little thinner so I don't have to pay so much for them? That's the truth of it, really. He was a shyster, man. He was a real shyster. Ronald Todd, after living for 2.5 years in Southeast Asia and been married to an Asian for 50 years, believe me when I tell you that the sticks are used for eating whatever goes with the rice. Well, I don't doubt that either, but I mean, they got to find some way to get the rice in their mouth. And it looks like and I've seen people eat rice with those chopsticks too. Ronald Todd, the rice is generally eaten with a spoon. Well, there you go. There you go. Now I stand corrected. But at least I've seen it on video where they are eating rice with the chopsticks. David Tharp, Elon Musk is originally from South Africa. That's strange. You'd think he was from Madagascar. Madagascar. David, you are messed up, buddy. How in the world do you come up with all this stuff? And especially every single day. You'd think you'd run out by now. Holy mackerel. You should be a stand-up comedian. Dottie says, with one ply on the sidewall, what's to say that going 70 miles per hour down the road and it won't blow the sides out all the tires? Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That's why I've been raising such a fuss about it. Like I said, I didn't think that I had imagined that sidewalls used to be a lot heavier. You could plug a sidewall. When you got 6 plies on a sidewall, why can't you plug that? You know, I mean, if just think about the logic of it. If you just think, I mean, people don't think of common sense logic anymore. They never use it. They just regurgitate what somebody at the tire company says. The tire guy says, well, we can't plug a sidewall. You don't do that. That's dangerous. Well, why? You get the same air pressure on the side. You got the same air pressure on the tread, but the tread's doing all the work. Now, why would it be more dangerous to plug the sidewall than the tread when the tread's doing all the work? That's where the load is directly on it, and it's where the rubber meets the road, but you can plug that. Well, the reason is because they've cheaped out on the sidewalls. The sidewalls are crap these days. That's why you can't plug them. It's got nothing to do with the fact that they're sidewalls. It's got to do with the fact that they've cheaped out on it, and they're giving you nothing. Period. I mean, it's common sense. Black and white, it's 100% right. I'm not making this stuff up. It just is man, we have gotten ripped off as a consumer. That's it. I'm surprised it's legal. I seriously am surprised it's not a safety hazard. Well, anyway, moving on. Hugh O'Connor, max speed for towing a trailer in UK is 60 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour for single carriage roads. Well, that's not the case here. You know, for sure, you know, these big tractor trailer trucks, they're not just doing, 50 or 60 down the highway. These big open highways that we have here too, I mean, they lend themselves to those higher speeds. And trust me, people are going that fast with pulling heavy loads. Paul Akers, I made a straight neck tool out of a metal yardstick by marking where the frets are and drill half holes so that sets down on the board. Okay, well, that would be for making sure the neck is straight, I guess. But if you're looking for the height of frets, you wouldn't want the half holes. You would just want to use a straight edge, and that way you could feel it rock on the high fret. So that's what I think he's referring to, or at least that's what I read into it, but I don't read very well, so I may have read it wrong. Sidecar Bob, maybe that Bob would just spray Fix-A-Fly. Oh, for sure. Oh, there's no doubt he would try that first. There's no question. And don't get me wrong, I'm not above that myself for just like using it on my four-wheeler or something, or even if I was out on the highway and that was the way I could fix it temporarily. I mean, I'm not above using something like that, but that wouldn't be the purpose to use it and then sell it like it's a new tire. And he would do that. He would definitely do that. Dottie Hildebrandt, on my land, they cut the logs on the land. We planted 500 lolly pines. Cool. Wavy Gravy, got another sign of getting old yesterday. I told a woman of mature years that I'd like to go steady, and she said, I just need more fiber in my diet. I knew that was coming when I read that one. I didn't have to read ahead. I knew what was coming on that one. Let's see. David Tharp says, thumbs up. If you would, please, I'd appreciate it. Don Nice says, Jerry and friends, David, you should make a funny story on your videos. Yep. Let's see. Sidecar Bob says, sidewalls and treads flex differently. Well, sure they do, especially when they're only one ply. Of course they do. I get that. I understand that. That ain't got nothing to do with the real problem. The real problem is they've cheaped out on it. I mean, That's black and white proof right there. I showed it to you, black and white. Those sidewalls were what, 6-ply? You can plug 6-ply. There ain't no reason you can't. That's not going to hurt nothing. You can't plug 1-ply because there's nothing there. There's nothing there to hold it. But 6-plies, the reason, when you got to imagine all those plies are doing this. Wait, this is a 1-ply. That's it. But you got 6 of these like this, layered. That's completely different. It's exponentially stronger when you do that. Ask me how I know these things. Been there, done that. This is the kind of stuff I've done my whole life. This is not something like I'm just making up and just talking to hear my head rattle. This is the biggest ripoff I've ever seen, I think, on the total consumer market. It's a huge ripoff. Think about it. Everybody's got tires. And everybody's getting ripped off. It's a ripoff like I have never seen before, ever. Dottie, after this vlog, I'm going out and check the tires on my new car. Well, I do think that car tires generally, now I haven't really gotten down and inspected them. I do think that generally car tires are better. For whatever reason, and you can't seem to get anybody to sell you regular car tires or regular truck tires for a trailer anymore. It's like you have to buy trailer tires. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's the biggest, they're all in cahoots, and it's a ripoff. That's all I can tell you. But I would imagine your car tires are probably different than this. And you think about it, and don't get me wrong, I mean, that makes sense because you got people living in these cars and driving and everything and going fast and all that, and they need to be good. But you got the same thing with trailers. I mean, people are all around them on the highway, and it could cause a problem, I don't know. It's a sad deal. David, let's see. Bill Mumbo, tomorrow's discussion point is the benefits of hide glue. Yeah, well, this evening at 7 o'clock, we'll have our play along. I'm going to give you my final version of my new song. I wanted to just point out a few things because, like me, when I hear a new song, it takes me a long time to understand the words and the meanings behind it. And, I don't read between the lines real good on a new song. I'm more of a melody person. I'm listening more to the melody than I am the actual words and what it means. So I just thought I would mention a few things about this song and why I wrote it the way I wrote it. So it starts off with, when I look in the mirror, I see an old man there. Well, the reason I wrote it like that was because if I didn't look in the mirror, and I will admit that the arthritis changes it a little bit. If I didn't have so much arthritis, number one, and I didn't have to look in a mirror, it's the old question, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? If you didn't know how old you are, how old would you be? Well, I'd say I was 35, maybe 40. With the arthritis, maybe 40, 45, something like that. But I have my good days with the arthritis where it's not so bad, and I really do think I'm expecting when I look in a mirror, I'm honestly floored that I look as old as I look because I don't feel like I'm that old. And I honestly expect to see something different. And when I look in the mirror, I honestly am shocked. I know that probably sounds, you got to be kidding me. This didn't just creep up on you. I know that. It's true. It didn't. But I still look at it and go, how did this happen? Because I don't feel like I'm that old. So that's the reason for the song is the original thing. And then it's, like he's got too much gray hair. Well, that's the obvious part of the obvious conclusion of that. But then the next one says he seems so unaware. Well, that's what I'm talking about, being unaware of how did this happen? I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense. So that's the part about that. And then I've changed the words. Then like the part about my brother and I, we built our first house up in the sassafras trees. Well, of course, that's talking about building a tree house when you're a kid. And I just thought I'd throw that out there, is that we had this huge grove of sassafras trees behind our house where we lived. We lived in pretty much the most well-off neighborhood in the whole St. Louis County. I mean, like, these people were filthy rich that were all the way around us. And when I say filthy rich, I mean it. They had maids and butlers, and they had indoor-outdoor swimming pools and tennis courts and 6-car garages. And keep in mind, this was back in the 60s, you know? So they had all this stuff. And we had a little 10-acre, and we were renting it, by the way. We didn't own it. We were renting 10 acres, and we had, old barns and old sheds, and we had horses. So that was the draw for the rich kids. They would come over and play in our, with the horses and stuff, and I'd go swim in their indoor-outdoor swimming pool. It was a good deal. But it was really hard. When you're a kid, you just don't see the difference. You don't get, like, I really grew up like that. I mean, now I think about that and I'm going like, are you kidding me? But seriously, we did have this giant grove of sassafras trees right in the middle of the 10-acre field. It was just like it was from a distance. It looked like a large mushroom. It looked like a stem, and then this giant dome of it. It looked like a mushroom from a distance of, say 300 or 400 yards. But it was just tons of sassafras trees, and my brother and I built ourselves a 3-story tree house in that grove of trees. You couldn't see the tree house from anywhere around there because the canopy covered it. But we had a 3-story tree house in there, and then later in the song, I say, well, now I'm back in 1983, and this was, right after we bought our house in Wildwood, Missouri, and we had a new house there, and it wasn't new, but it was new to us. And we had just had all 3 kids, and so I said the family is complete. And then I've changed the words on this one, because someone pointed out in the song that I was using aware multiple times. Well, when I originally wrote it, I used aware in every one of the choruses. He's so unaware, or he seems so unaware. But then just before we went live, when I played the song the other day, I changed the first one where I said I was so unaware. I changed it to he's got too much gray hair. Well, I thought that made more sense. So I did that, but then I left the other awares. Well, someone pointed out that you keep saying aware. Well, I had it in my head already to change that, but that confirmed that I probably should change that. So the first one's gray hair, the second one is unaware, and then the third one is too much to bear. When I look in the mirror, it's really just too much to bear. And then the fourth one is it's changed entirely, and the fourth one is when I look in the mirror, it slowly dawns on me, that I've had a great life or something like that, the way God meant it to be. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little bit of between the lines on this song so that when you hear it tonight, you'll understand where it's coming from. Let me look and see if we had any more comments pop in there during that long-winded discussion. Let's see. I had quite a few popped in there, so I'm trying to see back where I was. Huh. Okay. Wavy Grady says, all this business about tires makes me tired. Yeah, trust me, I'm a little bit wore out on it myself. Ronald Todd, Bill, be careful of what you wish for. Okay, let's see. Sidecar Bob, so just tell them what size you need and don't tell them that the tires are for a trailer. Well, yeah, sort of, kind of. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying. It just doesn't seem to work out like that. GNP Old Marine Shop. How did Johnny Cash remember all those places in his song? I've been everywhere. Well, actually, it wasn't Johnny Cash. That was Hank Snow. Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, Opeloma, Bangor, I used to know all of those. It's been a while. I used to know that whole song. I love Hank Snow. I think he was great. I love how he, I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota. Anyway, let's see. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, I don't think you look all that old. Well, you just need to get your monitor cleaned. That's all. Your monitor's really filthy. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. I seriously think I look horrible when I look in the mirror. I'm going like, that's not the way. I honestly, if I didn't have to look in the mirror, I'd swear I would go in there and look, and I would have, I would have not black hair, but I'd have, salt and pepper hair. That's what I would expect to see. Because I had that most of my life, or well, I shouldn't say most of my life. I had it for a long time. From the time I was like 16, I started getting gray hair to about, mid 40s. And then it started really turning fast. It really started turning fast then. But thank you. Wavy Gravy, Mark Twain said he didn't realize he was in his 70s until he looked in the mirror, and then he recognized it. Yeah, boy, that's the truth. David Tharp, I didn't mind my hair turning gray, but I hated that it turned loose. Yeah, that's what I always used to say is I don't care what color it turns as long as it don't turn loose. Dottie says the play-along is 7:30 rather than 8. 7:30. The play-along is at 7, right? Did I miss something? Or I'm not sure where we're going there, but the play-along's always at 7 o'clock. So, and that'll be Central Standard Time according to my time. So that would make it, 8 o'clock on Eastern Time? Let's see. GMP Old Marine Shop. Could you learn that song by Johnny Cash? Well, yeah, like I said, it was Hank Snow originally. Johnny Cash did it also, but Hank Snow did it first. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. Hank Snow was around a lot longer or a lot earlier on than Johnny Cash was, so I'm pretty sure it was Hank Snow first. And like I said, I do know most of it. If I can warm it up, I'll do it this evening. For the most part, I only did 3 verses of it. I never did that fourth verse for whatever reason. I never got a hold of it very well, but I could probably do the 3-verse version of it that I do. Sidecar Bob, my mom had Alzheimer's. Some days she couldn't remember the last 65 years, and then she looked in the mirror, and it was a real shock. Wow. Wavy Gravy, let's see. No, that wasn't for me. I said, what? David Tharp, what about caught a plane at O'Hare? Yeah, you could rhyme that in there if you wanted to, I guess. When the reason you just made me think of another story. This has nothing to do with me exactly. He's just a friend of mine. I worked for Southwestern Bell and AT&T and all that. Well, we flew a lot back then because we were in the headquarters and we flew around to the different states and things all the time. Well, and we occasionally got other places too, like, out of the 5-state area. Well, one of my friends, her name was Anita Lowry. She was going up to, she had to go up to Chicago for some convention or something. I don't know what it was that she was attending up there. Well, anyway, she had a ticket. Do you guys remember? This is I think it was back in the 80s. It might have been 90s, but I think it was 80s. I really don't remember for sure. Late 80s, probably early 90s, when that plane crashed at O'Hare. I think it killed everybody on board. It actually came in low and crashed at O'Hare. Well, that was her flight. she was supposed to be on that flight. She saved her ticket. She switched at the last minute for some reason. I think she got delayed or something, and she still has that ticket to this day, that, she was supposed to be on that flight. So I don't know, because you've said O'Hare, that reminded me of that. Let's see. Moving on down. Dottie says, you can have salt and pepper hair now. Hair dye. Yeah. G&P Old Marine Shop. Probably cue cards in the studio, but doing it live, maybe. Well, no, I always did it live. I mean, it's not that hard. Once you get used to it, it's a rhythmic thing. Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tacopella, Quiller, and Padilla. It's a killer. I've been everywhere, man. Reno, Chicago. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. I have to get it back out. Once I see it once, I think, get the first word or two. I think I could do it, but I'd have to get. I haven't done it in a long time. So it's pretty good that I can remember that much of it. Let's see. 1979, the engine lost an engine on takeoff. Was that it? 1979? That could have been it. I don't remember it losing an engine, but that might have been what happened. It seemed to me like it came in and the wing got crooked, and that might have been because it lost an engine. I don't know, but it seemed like it drug and then spun around. But it killed everybody on the plane, and that was the actual flight she was supposed to be on. And something happened, just moments, hours before that she had to change her flight. And back then, if you remember back then too, it was way different flying than it is now. And I used to love it. I mean, I absolutely loved it. You just walk up to any counter and say, I've got this ticket for the, 3:00 flight. I got done early. Do you have a flight going out before 3? And then they just take your ticket and say, here, take this other one, and they'd give you, it could be a totally different airline. And you just swap them. It was just a piece of cake. You could just walk up to any counter and swap it in a heartbeat. Not anymore. Things have gotten so much better. It's so much more improved. I don't know. It's crazy. I get it. I know why you got to do it with all the safety things these days and the crazies that are out there. That's why I think we should bring back public hangings. If you brought it back, you'd knock down some of those crazies. That's just me. I believe that. I really do. Hope JR is making progress. Well, he's supposed to go back to the doctor today. I honestly, I didn't hear yesterday how he's doing, but he was supposed to have gone back to the doctor today, and I don't know if they were actually going to do something or if it was just another checkup or something. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know tomorrow or even this evening if I find out before this evening. But guys, I'm going to let that be it. We're going to be back here at 7 o'clock this evening, and we'll do a little play along there. And I hope you'll join me and tell your friends. We'll see you then. Take care.